The Walt Disney Company Board of Directors has announced that Bob Iger will remain as CEO until 2026.
Yeah. So in a statement he put out today, Wednesday, he said that he had to make difficult decisions to address some existing structural and efficiency issues. But he believed Disney's long-term future is incredibly bright. He also emphasized that he remained intent on finding the company's next CEO. And he says, quote, "Because I want to ensure Disney is strongly positioned when my successor takes the helm, I have agreed to the board's request to remain CEO for an additional 2 years. The importance of the succession process cannot be overstated, and as the board continues to evaluate a highly qualified slate of internal and external candidates, I remain intensely focused on a successful transition." So he was originally supposed to, his contract was supposed to get up on, I think it was December 31st, 2024.
Yes.
And that has been extended to December 31st, 2026. So by the time he's done, by the time that comes around, he will have been CEO for 19 years total or something.
Well, unless he gets another extension.
Unless there's an extension.
If you're new to this, this is not the first time he has had an extension. He's done quite a bit. If we had internet, we would look it up. I know he's done it at least 3 or 4 times that he's getting an extension. Mm-hmm. Okay, the funny thing about this is, and Jamie, you can back me up on this. I have talked on the show many times that I think Iger is going to stay past the 2024. I felt like he was going to do this because we hadn't heard anything about any sort of you start hearing rumors about people getting close, especially back before Chapek was the heir apparent or whatever. You had Tom Skaggs, you heard a lot of people, and then they would leave because they weren't going to be the CEO. So you were hearing a lot of things around there. There was nothing. And I was actually going to talk about today, and I was going to say, hot take here, I think Iger's staying past 24. That was going to be my hot take, and then this broke, and I was like, okay, I guess. But
it's a cold take now.
It's a cold take.
Yep.
But I'm not surprised. Listen, I'm not the biggest Iger proponent. I don't think he's the worst CEO in the world, but I also don't think he's this guy that was gonna come in on the golden chariot and fix everything. Well, and if you look at the company, if you just look at it holistically, there's not a lot of places you can point to within the Disney company that you can say that's a really strong place right now. The strongest one is the parks, but even that one, financial analysts are starting to come out and say they're downgrading the Disney stock and saying the parks are looking that they're tailing off a little bit. And many have, I know at least one, I think I saw another one, and again, we don't have internet, so I can't check it, but there's another one that said that they were downgrading the Disney stock and basically saying it's either going to stay where it's at or maybe drop a little bit. So there's not a lot of places you can point to that say, Iger coming back has strengthened the company. Now, you're also going to hear the Chapek argument. And mind you, I don't think Chapek was a good CEO by any means. I'm not a Chapek defender at all. He was terrible. But you can't pin all of this on Chapek. Mm-hmm. You can't. He was at the helm for how long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Enough time to do some damage. And he did restructure the company, especially the entertainment side, in a not great way. And I think that's one of the things Iger was talking about is the restructuring part. Agreed. Okay, that's fine. But you can't pin all of this on Chapek because a lot of these things that have not gone well were introduced by Iger under his realm. I mean, the Star Cruiser, that was an Iger thing. A lot of these movies that have been greenlit were, Iger greenlit before COVID. Mm-hmm. A lot of it. So I think this also shows that there's nobody internally that they think probably can do it, or they don't look at that has the potential, because if so, you would have heard about it by now.
Right. Usually they have somebody prepped up and ready to go.
Right. So this could explain why Christine McCarthy left, because she looked at it. If Iger's staying and you don't have anywhere else to go, I mean, if you basically can't move up, I mean, she may have just been like, I don't want to do this anymore. If I can't be CEO, I'd just rather go retire. And I know her husband's had health issues. Maybe that was it. It could also be, maybe not, maybe so, but the DEI lady that left as well.
What was her name? I forgot her name.
I can't remember her name, but I wouldn't also be surprised if now that this has come out, you start seeing a couple more executives, quote unquote, resign or whatever. So, we'll see. But you did have a good point you were talking about.
Yeah. So, just to put a reminder in here. So Chapek, whenever he came on in 2020, in 2022 of July, they renewed him for 3 years or 4 years? I think it was 3 years.
I think it was 3.
And so as of last July, we thought, okay, he's going to stick around for 3 more years. And then they canned him in November. So not to say that they're ever going to like can Iger, they're like fire him. I think like this is just an insurance that somebody that the board is really excited about, which would be Iger, is sticking around. Versus putting someone in that they're just not sure about, they're just not confident in. So they're just like, okay, we'll put our confidence in Iger, give him some more time, or give whoever it is some more time to prepare for as the next CEO, and like what else are they gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is their other option?
Well, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? Like this is what they have to do.
It's a good point you make about Chapek. Just because someone is extended, I mean, you see this in sports all the time. Someone gets a contract extension, especially coaches, and they're gone like the next year. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but a contract extension doesn't mean that he is for sure just going to be in there until the end of 20 or into 25. Is that what it is?
Into 26.
2026.
Yep.
And the board has always liked Iger, and I definitely don't think, I never thought they were going to not, at this point, like I said, I was like, I figured he would get renewed because also for his, we'll say legacy, he's not going to leave it as it is right now. Because again, things are not strong. He wants to leave this, I'm sure, the better than he found it. And he has done some things. I mean, one thing I was surprised by is the parking at the hotels was reversed. Now, granted.
Oh, the parking fee.
Yeah, that wasn't a Chapek thing. That was an Iger thing.
Right.
That was reversed, which that was like, okay, thank you. That was nice. But I'm just curious about how long, like if things continue to trend the way they are trending, if you look at Indiana Jones is going to lose at least probably $200 million. And to be honest, one of the things that Disney has got to rein in on their movie side and the Disney Plus side is how much money they are spending on these movies and shows. It's out of control. Every single movie is $250 million plus. Then the marketing budgets are $100 to $150 million. Andor, which is that Disney Plus Star Wars show, which I didn't see, but a lot of people did. To its defense, a lot of people that did watch it said it was good, but not many people watched it. That show cost $175 million to make. There is no way there was $175 million worth of people that signed up for Disney Plus to watch that show. So Little Mermaid was 250 plus. Indiana Jones was 300 million plus the marketing budgets. So mind you as well, when you're seeing Indiana Jones, it probably is going to top out like 300 something million dollars. Disney does not get $300 million. They basically essentially get half of that because the theater gets a cut. And depending on international, like if it's China, the studios get like 20% or 25%. So you get different cuts in different regions. So basically, if a movie costs $300 something million, the marketing budget's $150, you're already in the hole like $450. Yeah. For that movie to break even, it needs to make around $800 to $900 million. This is what Indiana Jones would need to make. It's not going to do that. So a lot of these movies, for it to be successful for Disney, they have to make almost basically $1 billion, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. Like they're not spending $250 to even break even, but they're not even doing that. So ergo a movie like say like the John Wick movies and like the Mario movie. Mario cost I think $100 million to make and made $1 billion. John Wick, I think it cost $90 million. It made $450 million, somewhere around there. That's a profitable movie. Mm-hmm. Disney has got to bring their spending down on movies. That
would help.
It's crazy. It is crazy how much money. Even the animation stuff's $250 million. Lightyear was $250. Elemental was $250. Disney Plus is still a very large issue. A large issue. That thing is losing money like crazy. Now you've got a writer's strike going on. They've already mentioned they're going to cut production. They got rid of shows that are Disney originals on there because apparently keeping them on Disney Plus was costing them more money than it was making them. Those things right there, I mean, those two are big. Mm-hmm. If the parks start faltering for whatever reason, I don't think investors are much going to care as to why necessarily. And again, you have increased competition on the park side. So I think this gives him more time to, if he, I'm sure he's making the argument he needs more time to implement the things he wants to do. We don't necessarily know. He hasn't come out and really said what his vision necessarily is in the details. Mm-hmm. They're also going through mass layoffs right now. So it's hard to make the argument, when Chapek was fired, you don't fire your CEO basically in the middle of the night on a Sunday to bring in the old CEO and make the argument that's the activities of a strong company, or that everything's going great.
That's a Hail Mary decision.
That's definitely something that you don't do and think like, we're doing really good. I mean, that's typically. So time will tell what he will do, what he's able to do. But I mean, I will say this, if things continue to trend this way going into 25 and going into 26, I don't know. I don't know if that board turns on him and starts pointing fingers at him as much as maybe they pointed at other people. It'll be really interesting to see if that's how it trends, that's how it goes. But just looking at this in the next couple of years, I'll be really interested to see what things he has planned to sort of turn this all around.